Good evening, everyone. We're here at the Planning Commission meeting, a special meeting, Monday, April 22nd at 6 p.m. via Zoom and in person. I'd like to call to order the roll call. Would you like to do the roll call?
Commissioner Hernandez Madrid.
Present.
Present, sorry. Commissioner Maya. Not present. Commissioner Nordstrom.
Present.
Commissioner Bandy.
Is there?
I do know.
Present.
Vice Chair Terrell
I'm here.
and Chair Stewart. Absent.
It appears we have quorum, so we will move to the next item on our agenda, which is approval of the minutes from last meeting. Is there any input on those minutes? Any additions or deletions? Yes, Annette?
I read through them about an hour ago, and it seemed that the summary of our amendments was a bit simplified. And I know that the meeting lasted very long and was considered by some to be tedious, but I'd like us to share the screen on the minutes and look at that section, the summary, and see if we can tune that up a little bit as to what the actual points of the motion were.
Thank you, Annette.
So if I can address that in the box of the motion.
Yes,
And
please.
I know that Jennifer tried very hard to get it very succinctly covered. Where we talk about that bike parking should be covered. The discussion, as I understood it, centered around apartments. So I think that needs to be added. And then replace the distance for street trees to 25 feet. I know that the consultant had asked a question about trees, street trees, all trees. And I think saying street trees to 25 feet is inaccurate. And also the recommendation for the diversity of tree guidelines. If we could actually cite where that guideline is to be found, because I think it's a bit vague. We might know, but future generations might not know.
It's the City of Portland diversity guidelines.
Can we add that verbiage?
Yes? We will.
And do you concur that the discussion about the covered bike parking related to that specific apartment building?
I agree.
It was, I agree too.
Okay. So let's see, yes, egg holding stays, bike parking was about the apartments, the street trees of 25 feet. So street tree is the correct verbiage?
I think that was the one that where everywhere it said 40 feet, we were just replacing that with 25. So I think
Okay.
that was street tree language.
Yes. So everywhere there was a everywhere there was a tree spacing recommended, we recommended replacing it with 25 feet.
Okay. Because I'm sorry to nitpick here. I know
No, I'm glad you are.
that was a long meeting, But when we're saying replace distance for street trees to 25 feet, somebody not knowing this in the context of the meeting could think that if they have a tree in front of their house, you know, they're going to have to plant another one within 25 feet. So I think it's new development, correct? Street trees.
Right, it is definitely for new streets and new development.
Okay.
Yes.
And then also, I also think that we should say in the landscape strip, because I remember that being kind of a bone of contention.
No,
No.
that was, there was language that actually was not just the landscape strip, I believe.
It was for all new plantings of trees in developments and landscape.
Because there
strips.
was where there wouldn't be a landscape strip, there was supposed to be a street tree. Yeah.
So
So I think
that's-
all
I'm-
that was replacing everywhere in the new development code that had a spacing of 25 feet, we were replacing, or sorry, 40 feet, we were replacing the 40 with 25. And we weren't
Okay.
changing the language around, there was discussion around that, but we simplified it and just,
Okay, because yeah,
Replace-
I'm recalling some of that discussion. We were saying, well, if they wanted to put it in the middle of their lawn versus the planting strip, but that, you know, that there would be that 25.
yeah, I think it was just
requirement.
changing that distance in the code. We weren't
Okay.
trying to do anything more complicated than that.
And
Okay,
clear, it
it's-
will be the developer that will be planting
Yeah.
those trees.
okay. So I mean, if you're comfortable with that, I just thought, you know, like I say, for future generations to understand this in the context of the discussion, that should be tuned up a little bit. So if you're happy with that verbiage, then I concur.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could say everywhere street trees or trees to shade sidewalks are mentioned, they should be 25 feet apart. I mean, we could make it that specific.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know,
It has to
because this
reflect your
goes to
action
the,
From the night.
Right,
So
this-
that was clarification of what the commission
Right.
acted on and no more. of the-
Which is what we said.
Yeah.
right.
Right. I'm not
The-
trying to reopen the discussion. I'm
Because
just
this
trying
goes to, this goes to
Like-
city,
accurately.
no, this goes to, the city, right, a city council.
Yeah, correct.
And
This goes to city.
so I guess the question is whether they, and they're the ones that will adopt or
Yeah.
not adopt this
Yeah,
in.
I should
code.
mention here that
So I guess-
if we will have a packet to the city council that will summarize the action of the planning commission and the recommendations. So these are just the minutes,
Right.
but it is a good, you know, I'm kind of thinking, no, if the minutes are specific enough and made so, we could make it as an exhibit to the staff report that goes
Yeah.
for the city council, or we can do a separate
Right.
exhibit
Because it
as well.
should reflect what we actually voted on.
Yeah.
And
That's-
so I want to make
that's
sure
all
that
I'm
it's clear.
That's
that-
all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to
Yeah, yeah,
rewrite
yeah.
history. I just want the minutes
Yeah,
to
no, to the
encapsulate
extent
what we actually said.
that you wanna make it specific, we can include these minutes as an exhibit. We can also do a separate exhibit as well. I would imagine I'm gonna sort of take an exhibit that would show crossed out 40 for 25 where
Right.
it is. So we would prepare a separate exhibit based on our
Yeah.
recollection of what it is, but the minutes are helpful too.
Yeah, so I guess,
Exactly.
I guess it seems reasonable to replace to clarify bike parking in apartments
Multifamily,
or,
Multi-
yeah,
multifamily buildings.
Yeah.
That's a little better, yeah.
so just adding
And they
that
should be,
phrase.
we said that they should be secure and covered. Secure and covered bike parking.
And then we were replacing the street tree distance of
Everywhere in
40
the code.
feet with 25 feet.
Everywhere in the code.
Yeah,
Right. Okay. I just wanted to accurate because it was quite the
And then
discussion.
I super appreciate you bringing our attention to that. Thank you.
and then it does seem like the diversity of trees guidelines from the city of Portland.
Right, because that's where that was
Yeah,
copied
that-
from.
Right, because a lay person down the road would look at this and go, what tree guidelines? So,
Right.
Thank you.
Good
Perfect.
I
job.
think that clarifies what we were trying to say. And probably is
Thank you.
consistent with what we were trying to put out.
Yeah, there we got, okay, we already got the agricultural holding in there.
The agricultural holding is there.
Right. so if those changes are made, I would make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. The next thing on our agenda. Sorry.
We gotta get back to this. There we go.
Our citizen comments, if there's any citizens in attendance who would like to comment on things not on the agenda this evening, please either raise your hand or turn your computer speaker on and start speaking after identifying yourself and stating your address. Seeing none and hearing none, I'd like to nevertheless welcome those two attendants to our meeting. We appreciate your attendance and your attention to the city business. Thank you so much. We now move to discussion topics, which are the action items, which is a public hearing. So we're going to call to order a public and open the public hearing. Call for audience objections to the jurisdictions. Are there any challenges regarding a counselor's ability to make an impartial decision? Hearing none?
I just have a question.
Yes.
About the ex-party contact. At the conclusion of the last meeting, a Carlton phone number texted me and had a question, and I think it might have been the first gentleman that testified, Wes Mills. It was just a bland, generic question about if you had a tax lot and there was a, what we're hearing tonight, the minor property thing, you know, should it go to the county or should it go to the city of Carlton? And I said, start with the city of Carlton. If it needs, you know, further review, they will direct you to Yamhill County. And that was the extent of that. I don't know the identity of the person, which after I thought about it was kind of weird, but I just wanted to disclose that I did get that question and I responded to it.
Thank you, Annette. Now we have the declaration of counselor conflicts of interest, abstentions, bias, or
Nope.
ex parte contact.
Okay, sorry, I jumped the gun.
Okay, no, that was great. You're good. So that's that having been completed. Does anyone have anything to declare? Don't see anything from Jim. Don't
No.
see anything from Jennifer. And that's finished. I have nothing. So we'll continue with the staff report. I would like to ask our city planner to disclose your report.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, for the record here, Scott White, I am a contract planner for the city with the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. I have a PowerPoint presentation that will kind of summarize the hearing proposal tonight. I want to make sure that those who have that are out there virtually are able to see the screen there. Maybe I can just maybe get somebody to give me a thumbs up or something like that. But
Jim or Annette, can you see the screen?
we're not getting feedback here.
Yes, I can. This is Jim Moore here.
Okay, Jim can see
Can you
it.
hear me?
Yes,
good.
thank you.
All right, very good. So again, my name is Scott White, contract city planner. I just the first screen here just identifies the case files subject to hearing tonight. SDR, VAR, and LLA, site design review, variance, and lot line adjustment applications next week. So summary of the request, we have a proposal for minor site design review. I'll explain why it qualifies for minor. In concert with application for major variance and lot line adjustment. Those are the three applications that we're running a concurrent hearing for. Project summary. So this is a single story addition. It's roughly 21 feet in height. It's a total of 685 square feet floor area. And there's the major part of that is tasting area for the wine tasting there. It occurs on site, and that's 430 square feet. So this is a project. The applicant's renderings are there. The part of the applicant's packet that the commission received, in addition to the staff report that provides a summary of all of this of what the applicant is proposing. This is located in the south portion of the site. The next slide will kind of show where the next slide there will show where this is in the city. This is a portion of the city of Carlton zoning map. And the subject properties, two that are circled in red there, are located south of Monroe Street and west of Pine Street there. And below is kind of the legend of the zones that are in proximity to the property. The property is pretty much surrounded with the downtown wine gallery zone. That's that maroon color there. Next slide. This is an aerial photograph of the site. It was also included with the staff report there shown on page 4. And what I mentioned about this is either tax map boundary lines, and they don't align very well with the with the aerial photograph, and they're really not accurate with respect to what really is there for legal lot configuration. So the next slide should show you what the real lot looks like here. These are the two properties, and what's circled there, the line that separates the two lots, that's the line that would be removed. So this is more so a lot line, a lot consolidation, less an adjustment of any line. So this is again a little bit more accurate depiction of lines to the property. Next slide. This is the applicant's site plan showing the two properties there, and showing the main building that's on site there, Tentrill wine cellars, roughly about 5,000 some square feet as far as the existing building that's shown in the lavender. And the salmon colored area there, that is the building addition. That's what's subject to public hearing tonight. And what's circled in red is the subject of the variance tonight. So the setback of the zone is 15 feet, and what the applicant is showing there is about between 4 feet 8 inches to 5 feet is roughly the distance there from the property line. And just to the south is the city parking lot there, property owned by the city and operated as a public parking area. This site plan is pretty good as far as all of the existing activity that's on there, or I should say, which is conditions, existing conditions. We've got several trees and various other items here, and the applicant will kind of address some of the features of this of the existing site as well. Next slide. No, maybe not the next slide.
Oh,
Jim,
Scott,
I'll be done in a moment here. I got to go through
Okay.
this, and then the chair will open it up for the applicant's presentation. So I want to just talk about building site. We addressed this in the staff report. We utilize the development code when talking to any applicant about where a front versus a rear or side property line is located and how we determine that. We try to apply the consistency through all review of all applications, and so we have a oops, getting back Okay, so we have rear yard setback is the matter of variance consideration tonight, and the rear yard for minimum rear yard for the downtown wine gallery zone is none except for 15 feet when abutting a residential district or a city-owned plaza or parking lot. And saw on the last slide there, the subject property abuts a parking lot there to the south. So yeah, just those definitions are in the home development code and also in the staff report of how we came to what is a rear versus side yard and front yard. Next slide, please. So variance criteria qualifies for major adjustment as the deviation from the standard proposed is greater than 20%. What we have is kind of a 5-part criteria. I'm just going to go through this very quickly. Staff report goes into it in much more detail, but I'm just for the oral here, I'll take each one of these very quickly and go through them. The next slide. For A, we have exceptional or extraordinary circumstances apply to the property. That does not apply generally to properties in the same zone or vicinity, resulting from what the lot shape and that sort of thing. So one of the things that this is an old area in the city, so the lot that we're looking at predates any city development code. We have lot 5, the lot where the addition is proposed. That will that's a fairly small. I mean, it's about 8,000 some square feet, and will be smaller. Part of the staff report mentions that there is negotiations underway here with ODOT. The applicant mentions this as part of their narrative that the realignment of Highway 47 is expected through this area on the what would be the roads that abut this property on the east side, and then the north side there, Pine and Monroe there would become Highway 47. And so the applicant anticipates roughly 1,800, my eyes, I'm sorry, 1,800 square feet or 22% reduction of the existing lot size. The applicant also identifies existing architectural features, the building orientation. The applicant will provide some photographs as part of the application package and materials received. And tonight the applicant will go through that a little bit more, as I'm told. But basically the building entrance faces south towards the parking lot, and the north facing wall faces Monroe, but acts more as a rear and service area for the site. So next slide, please. In the findings of the staff report, we have pages 6 or 7 talk about the next criterion here that says such variance is necessary to preserve or give me my glasses here, enjoyment of a right there that's enjoyed by other property owners in the same district or vicinity. So yeah, we have a proposal here that is consistent with the zone. It is for continued production of wine and for wine tasting. And one of the things we noted in the staff report is first, there's a 0 there. And so if the parking lot were not there, it would be a matter of no setback. So we do have the parking lot there. It's and so it's 15 feet. Again, the applicant identifies in response to this criterion the functional aspects of the building and specific to the use and how it operates there. So yeah, with the right of the applicant there, it's really the ability to carry on the business that's already in function there. So, next, slide. Under C, authorization of such variance, will not be, detrimental to the public welfare and injurious to properties there. I'm sorry, it's kind of small reading from this distance, but one of the things, this criterion C is the question of who does it impact. With C here, we'll start off first that there isn't any policy or objective of the comprehensive plan that speaks to building setbacks. We did a quick search of that and didn't find anything. South-facing building wall, also nothing really that we could see as if it's extended closer to the property line there to the south. It's not casting a shadow, it's not encroaching an easement, and it's not causing the removal of any mature trees or any trees for that matter. So it doesn't really impact anybody that we can see. Next slide. So criteria D, we're getting towards the end here. The special conditions, circumstances in which the applicant's face does not result from neglect. So this is a criterion that sometimes pertains to a case or two where somebody has actually built something that did not receive a building permit and is asking maybe for forgiveness. That's not the case here. This is a case where an applicant came to the city and said, I'd like to build an addition at this location. What are my options? And so the applicant was informed, staff said, well, you can apply for this variance, but here are the applications that we see as necessary for you to pursue. So anyways, we didn't research in the past developing code what the existing building, as you probably already noticed, is already encroaching that 15-foot setback. And the applicant's narrative goes into that in further detail. We didn't look to see what was the code back when the existing building was constructed. We didn't go that far down the rabbit hole of trying to find that and what were the setback standards at that time. So just wanted that's what that criterion speaks to. Next criterion E, or next slide. Oh, there we go. All right, so E, and then variance is the minimum variance that would alleviate the hardship. So, with the findings that are in the staff report here, minimum is the discretion of the planning commission, but we've added some numbers here in response to that criterion. It's again 600. It's the distance thing here, but 685 square feet is the total floor area, and comparatively that's less than the 1,800 square feet that would be identified by the applicant, but ODOT is looking at there for realignment purposes, so that Highway 47 is mentioned. Also comparatively less than the existing building. It's amounts to 11% increase once added. I should also mention that 11% is below the threshold for major site design review. Major site design review is a 25% increase. This falls in the category of minor site design review. Does not add a new use or activity. What's there is to occur, and it does not meet any threshold in the development code like that for a traffic impact study as far as number of trips. So next slide. In conclusion, for the reasons stated in the report, we recommend that the planning commission approve the major variance. Just gonna go briefly over the other applications. Next slide is what we have. For the minor site design review application, I mentioned the threshold for that, the minor versus major site design review application. And then there's a provision in the code that says site review is required only for that portion of a structure or development that is proposed for change. So that's where the focus is drawn to, is just to that portion of the site that is subject to change. So we have some findings in the staff report there, pages 8 through 10, that talk about the limited scope of work. Also, we have the applicant's building elevation plans that are pretty good. I think the applicant will go over those elevation plans in further detail, but it's a good notation, and also the narrative is really good with explaining all of the details associated with the project and how they meet applicable design standards that are listed in the staff report. Slide. We have also this lot line adjustment application, and as I mentioned, it's really removal of a line for consolidation of the two lots. Really not a lot of standards for us to look at with respect to the downtown wine gallery zone, other than the setback standard subject to variance. We don't have a minimum lot size, and there is no minimum depth or width standard. So this is an easy lot line adjustment application for the city to approve. Building code provisions really are the reason why the applicant is pursuing the lot line adjustment for consolidation purposes, as there's kind of fire resistant walls that kick in, increasing the cost of the addition and all that kind of thing. So next slide. Page 12 of the staff report, we have proposed conditions of approval. And so really it's just a matter of the applicant recording the lot line adjustment and the city reviewing the plans to make sure it meets what was approved by the commission. There is some new vegetation area shown between the parking lot and the south wall of the building addition. And so we want the applicant to kind of further explain what that is, as the new vegetation wasn't sufficient detail there, but yeah, they would do that. And prior to the next step there, after they've constructed things, the city would go out and verify that it was done in accordance with the approved plan. One more slide left. So the final page of the staff report identifies the motions options here, and we are recommending that the planning commission approve with the conditions that were shown in the last slide. Happy to answer any questions.
So any questions from commission at this point? Annette has her hand up. Go ahead, Annette.
Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yes, you are.
I just wanted to say I really wish every application we had was as complete as this. I have no problem with it at all, and I'm very appreciative of the fact that they were addressing before the meeting the fact that they were not planning on changing any of the current vegetation in place. So that's a big plus. The question I have for Scott is, on one of your early slides, the drawing showed kind of a red dotted oval of the line itself. And so my question is, because it's coming into the parking lot a little bit, will that take away any parking spaces?
No. So there's a couple of red ovals. Is it the one that for the site plan there? I think it's the site plan, the dashed line.
Yep. That one, and then the other one shows the actual parking lot. So it seemed to, in the visual in my mind, it seemed to encroach the parking spaces
Okay,
a
so
tiny bit there.
So there will be no encroachment to the parking spaces there. And,
Nope. So we aren't going to lose any parking spaces.
there's no loss of parking. In fact, there'll be a little bit of area. So this is, the applicant has a couple of site plans, and one was amended to, I think it was part of the commission's packet there, that has a little bit of landscaping in between the the property boundary and the south wall there. It's
Mhm.
not much room for landscaping, but, so that there is a bit of landscaping there.
Yeah, but just the fact that they were attentive to it before the fact. I really appreciate that. I'm familiar with the property and the area. I have no problems whatsoever. And again, I just want to thank the applicant for the completeness of the packet, because of course we always go through the packet before the meeting. So again, appreciate that. And thank you, Scott, for the clarification.
Jennifer, you have any questions?
Nope, I don't think so.
Jim, are you there? Do you have any,
Yes, I am.
do you have
yes.
any questions or input?
No questions. Just wanted to say I agree with everything Annette said. And I spend a lot of time in that area, as you may know. And a lot of time right next door into another tasting room that's not far from there. Walking, I mean, 30, 40 steps away. So all I can say is this is terrific, and I know the proposals representative would love to carry on with his presentation, but if allowable, I would make a motion to approve right now.
Thank you, Jim.
You bet.
I could second that because I, did spend,
I-
I spent
Oh,
considerable
I would
time. going
actually
through the
like-
packet.
I would actually like to hear the proposal first, although I concur that so far it looks great. I do have a question. I do.
Yeah.
Okay, and I do have a, right, and I do have a question for you though. Actually, does that city parking lot have bicycle parking?
Good question. We could go back to the aerial photograph. We might be able to discern it. I'm not sure. But I didn't go, I did drive by, but I didn't look at it that closely.
And of course, I wouldn't require the applicant to put bicycle parking in because that would not be according to code. But I would advise the city to do due diligence and install bicycle parking because there will be people who are using bicycles for transportation to access that site and other sites within the city. Thank you.
Susie,
Yes,
Susie? Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, Jim, I know for a fact that I'm very certain that there is no bicycle parking spaces, but there is a considerable amount of space either side of the entrance to the Horseradish Restaurant that's at the further south version or part of this parking lot, and where bicycle racks could exist. I don't believe there are any there, but they could.
Mhm.
It's certainly, the room is there, so.
Thank you,
They
Jim.
really are not encroaching on any of the parking area with this plan, so.
right. And I'd like to emphasize, I would not ever ask the applicant to do that because that's not part of what's required of them.
There are bicycle racks on Main Street along there.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure, for sure.
But to encourage the multimodal transportation that we value in our city, it is important that we supply parking where it would be used, which would be from clients accessing that area. So that's
Sure.
just an aside. Thank you.
I would support that.
I neglected to ask if any testimony was received from other public agencies.
So no written testimony, so well, it's good to make sure, we'll go through after the applicant's presentation, to see if there's anybody out there, virtually who would like to testify. But yeah, my understanding that, the applicant, I'm sorry, if there's any other questions of staff, then yeah, they would be the.
Scott,
Yep.
wasn't there stripped in quotes from ODOT as well as Yamhill County on this? I remember reading that. in
Oh,
the
so
packet.
they're not from the public, so they would be comments from there is to the record, I should have mentioned that when we do get an application, we route it out to other public agencies for comment, to ensure that they're provided the opportunity to say something. And so Yamhill County wrote back to say that we don't have anything, but Yeah, a representative from ODOT that is familiar with the realignment plan said it does not impact what the applicant is proposing, does not impact the realignment proposal that we are working with the applicant to achieve.
Thank you.
Perfect.
So if that wraps up questions, I'm correct, then I would like to open the public testimony. I'd like to introduce our applicant who has prepared a presentation for us. So welcome. And whenever you're ready.
Is Jim aware that?
Jim, if you're here, I'd love to hear what your proposal is.
I don't know if you can hear
Now we can.
me. Okay, great.
Oh,
I'm
there's
having
some reverberation.
Yeah, sorry, I had to, let me see if I can fix this. I had a call on my phone because it's not, for some reason, the speakers aren't on.
Slower.
Mhm.
Is it okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Oh, wait. We get an echo a few seconds after you speak.
Oh, oh. How about now? Can you hear me?
We can definitely hear you, but we still get an echo.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I don't, I've
Take your
got a
time to
bad
fix it
internet
up,
connection. I'm gonna
technology.
share my screen if I could.
Usually that's caused by having two devices on. You have to just choose one or the other, or they're going to keep fighting each other.
Yeah. Okay, hang on here.
We're patient. You can sort it out.
Okay, can you?
Little echoey.
All right, can you folks hear that? I mean, see that?
Looks great.
Jim, it might work better on our side if you use your computer and just use your phone. I think that's where the issue is coming from.
Okay.
No.
Can you unmute his phone?
Oh, there we go. The three dots there.
We're not judging you.
And we're not hearing you either.
Hello?
Hello.
Sounds good.
Oh, he just turned it off.
Oh, we were hearing him.
Okay, I'm on my phone now, if that sounds better.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, very much so.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay, can you folks see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Enlarged floor plan and site plan.
Yeah, okay, great. So I don't want to be redundant with a lot of what Scott said, but I'll just kind of briefly walk you through. So the red area is obviously the addition. The it was tricky from the start because this face of the building, the south face, is clearly the main entry of the existing building and kind of the approach that people come to. There's a door here and there's a door here. Those are nice double doors with glass in them. There's, I'm going to show you that you can see here, the entry here and here. So back in '97, when the building was built, I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing that that was considered the front of the building. And I know the development code says the shortest lot line is considered the front, which is what pushes it to the north side of the building, which is what this photo is with all the trees. So the tricky thing is that what we're putting here is essentially a kind of a tasting room, admin, meeting space, employee break room, and that's right next to this existing southeast corner space, which is what it's used for right now. Now, these guys are just, they bought this in 2021, and they're really lacking space for office and administrative stuff. So the two functions here, this is sort of a crucial connection. So pushing it back, I don't know if you guys can see this dashed red line, but pushing it back to the 15-foot setback will break this connection. And there's really no other good way to make a connection into that space. So these two spaces sort of function in tandem, really. So that was sort of how we initially landed with the location. And then, yeah, and then again, looking at the definition of rear lot line, in a way, doesn't seem to make sense with the existing condition. Let's see, operationally, again, this is really what the connection needs to be. I'm going to go to another design drawing here to show you how we're kind of taken into consideration. So this is the existing building with a wood siding, vertical wood, kind of board and batten siding. The addition is going to match that in terms of materials. And you can see here that this is going to be the entry to the space. You know, and again, the concern pushing it 15 feet back sort of breaks that sort of, you know, kind of grander sort of designation of what this space is for people, for the public essentially coming in. And I'm going to go to the elevations, and these show how we're matching materials, existing wood to match new wood. And yeah, I mean, that's really it. And here's a larger plan showing, again, how this kind of connection is really important. Just so you know, part of the addition includes an ADA bathroom. This is just a code requirement because these two bathrooms right now don't currently comply with the ADA requirements. We may, based on what we ultimately get for the price to do this addition, if it's really more than what the owners can spend, we may try to modify this bathroom here, which is over here, and actually have access to it from the exterior. We'd make this ADA compliant. But anyways, this part of what's kind of triggering the size of it is just a code required ADA accessible space. In terms of vegetation, you can see it all here is existing. I do show a little spot here, which is gonna, you know, I knew this may come up with the development code. We need to add some vegetation, so we can certainly do that. But to answer one of the questions earlier, you can see there's no impact to parking. There's a little bit of a concern with the ODOT realignment plan. I know they've looked at this. This is a very early drawing from them, and we don't know, ultimately what is going to happen. But the owners of the property here are very concerned about losing some space because in the future, they're hoping to add a crush pad, essentially a covered crush pad here. And you can kind of see, we did some studies a long time ago that show how we're going to actually modify the site to do that. They're losing about 1,800 square feet of space if this is a plan that ODOT goes with. So, they're really concerned with being pushed in this part of the site to kind of be limited on what they can develop. And that's kind of goes back to where because in the future where we put a crush pad and some other winery functions here, by pushing this up 15 feet, it makes it a bit more of a challenge to do, especially if we lose this corner of the property. So that's kind of where we are. Yeah, any questions? I'm happy to answer.
So questions from the commission? Jim,
No question.
Annette?
Oh.
Not a question, but again, I just want to say, I did review the packet, and I think especially, the acknowledgement and not going to be causing further discussions with the bypass, that you're acknowledging that, yes, you understand that's coming through. I really, really like the design with the roll-up doors. I think that'll really fit nicely when that future development comes through. So again, I just wanted to thank you for the completeness of the application. It makes our job much, much easier. So thank you.
Oh, great. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you liked it.
Jennifer?
No questions.
And I actually have no questions. No, I take that back. How wide is that little landscape area that you have? I'm just curious.
It's a bit between 5 and 4 feet 2. The setback area right here is 5 feet at the entry, and it kind of narrows down to about 4'2". There is an existing wood fence that wraps around the property that is going to stay. I mean, it's nice. So the intent is to keep that there, and this is vegetation here. So it has a kind of a nice sort of rural setting to it. So the plan is to keep that. I don't know what vegetation we'll put there yet. Again, I put that in here thinking that, they may be required to put something there. So this is sort of a placeholder right now.
It will definitely enhance your project to put something alive in that space. Bark
Yeah, I
dust will
agree.
not enhance your product.
I
It is-
agree.
it is-
Highly recommend it.
Yeah, it is very nicely landscaped. And again, just appreciate your sensitivity to the fact, keeping the existing trees. I think in your 1.5-page application letter to the city, there was some mention of possibly where the little arrow was, where I was concerned about encroachment on parking spaces, maybe some container pots or whatever. But just the fact that you're on it is really, really appreciated by this commission.
Yeah, so I did do a little bit of just kind of a quick study of, what it could be. So you folks can see that, we'll
Mhm.
Oh my
I
gosh, you
know
put
that some of the-
trees in? Holy smokes, you're my hero.
I do know that some of the design standards require windows, a certain percentage of windows, but it's a little tricky because we're facing the parking lot, which, the client doesn't want to put windows in where people are going to be, essentially sitting, drinking wine, staring at parking. But I did want to put a corner window here just for visual purposes.
Mhm.
But we will definitely put something here.
Nice little red bud would be perfect there. Cercis,
Okay.
a pretty little red bud tree would be perfect for that space.
Okay.
Yeah, mark
they've
it
got a
down.
great variety of. They have a
It's
huge
beautiful
variety
new
of
red
different-
buds.
Okay.
Small tree flowers right now,
Uh-huh.
delicate leaf.
Okay. I will write that down.
Susie knows what she's talking about.
Worth a shot. And I
And there's-
appreciate the ADA conformance. That's important. Things that are convenient for all users are convenient for all users. And so I actually
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
appreciate that. And I know it's a regulation, but it's important for all of our community.
And especially as it feeds in off the parking lot. So just a really good design. I was very pleased when I paged through this.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none,
No.
seeing none. Are there? We can close the public hearing?
Oh, well,
No.
actually, there, yeah, we've got to open it up for if there is anybody.
Oh, is there anybody online who would like to comment on this proposal? Welcome any public input? Hearing none, seeing none?
She, seeing her.
Oh, wait, is there somebody?
Seeing her. Oh, it's weird. Oh, there.
But they're not raising their hand.
Right, check.
We don't want to leave anybody out if you have something to say.
No, I rose my hand because I'm ready to make a move.
Okay.
Can we take the
So-
drawing off the screen so we can see the participants?
Oh, sure, yep, sorry, I'll stop sharing here.
There we go.
So at this time, we will close the public hearing and open the floor for a motion.
I want to move to approve SDR 24-02, variation 24-03, and LLA 2401, based on findings contained in the staff report, subject to conditions of approval therein, and I'm ready.
I would second.
All in favor, vote aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. We've come to the moment in our meeting where we have commissioner comments, I believe. And is there anyone who has a comment that they would like to share at this time?
I'm just going to speak up briefly regarding our last meeting. There was a hot mic moment at the end of a long night, and I understand council's frustrations at times, but I personally felt disrespected. We volunteer our time and our passion as citizens and, you know, residents of the town of Carlton. And I just want that recognized. I don't want to be disparaged over it. I know sometimes these meetings run long, but I just want that noted that I felt disrespected by those comments. And as noted, maybe people could be a bit more cognizant of what they say.
Yes, we would always ask for a respectful audience. Thank you, Gannett. I actually have a piece to share. I actually have something I feel strongly about that I would like to share with you tonight. And I'm warning you, it's going to take 5 to 10 minutes to get through this. So I'm just going to read it because when I write, I think clearly and it helps me organize my thoughts. So on this Earth Day, April 22nd, 2024, I would like to address the staff in the city of Carlton. I joined the Planning Commission with a sense of optimism. I was looking forward to being part of a solution to improve the quality of growth in our little town. It is always my goal to be prepared and informed when I tackle a challenge. And as is my daily habit, I reflect on my practice to better understand how to improve my work. I believe I brought this can-do and reflective approach to my service on the Planning Commission. It was my responsibility as a commissioner to be both a source of insight and a source of community feedback. And I was proud to take that role seriously. I will tell you that my time on the commission has been mostly heartbreaking. At every juncture of decision-making, commissioners were asked to enforce poor street infrastructure and stormwater management in neighborhoods that were rapidly filling our urban growth boundary. Here is what we know to be true, according to all reputable urban design literature and research. Street trees planted as a continuous canopy on our streets provide the following benefits. Multimodal engagement. People ride and walk on shaded streets. Stormwater management. The first 30% of rainfall is captured in mature tree canopy. The next 30% is absorbed and released to the atmosphere via the process of evapotranspiration. Tree roots and leaf litter create soil conditions that promote the infiltration of rainwater into the soils. Trees absorb and capture pollutants targeted in the TMDL regulations, including metals, organic compounds, fuels, and solvents from the soil. According to research from OSU, methods such as tree planting and green streets, which are landscaped with bioswales to retain and infiltrate stormwater, are 3 to 6 times more effective per $1,000 invested than conventional stormwater management systems. They increase property values. Homes in neighborhoods with street trees command higher prices. Traffic mitigation, the presence of trees adjacent to driving lanes slow traffic and separate cars from vulnerable pedestrians, making pedestrians safer and more likely to use sidewalks. Reduced asphalt maintenance costs. Shade trees slow asphalt degradation and shave years off required routine street maintenance. Aesthetic value. They simply make neighborhoods welcoming and beautiful. Improved mental and physical health. Humans are more physically active on shaded streets and interact more with neighbors and suffer lower rates of depression and disease. All these are documented results of benefits of trees. Furthermore, wide pavement is regressive infrastructure. Wide streets are hot streets, accelerating the heat island effect. Unshaded asphalt on a 93-degree summer day can reach temperatures of 130 degrees. Too hot for pets and barefoot kids to walk. Asphalt is expensive, both to create and to maintain. Narrower streets are cheaper, simply because there's less asphalt. Wide streets are dangerous streets, encouraging drivers to exceed recommended speed limits by eliminating visual cues to slow down. Wide streets increase pollution in and volume of stormwater runoff. Rainfall landing on pavement is sent unfiltered directly to Han Creek and other tributaries carrying sediments, garden chemicals, and other pollutants. These are not fringe concepts, and they're not found on politically motivated websites. These are scientifically established facts documented through extensive research by scientists at universities and professional city planners who study how to make cities livable. You can find these abundantly corroborated in reputable urban design publications and on government websites like the EPA and ODOT. For the staff to be either unaware or dismissive of these facts is to send a clear message to our residents that the city simply doesn't value a livable community. It would appear that planning commissioners are the lone voice promoting simple, economical, and common sense solutions like narrowing pavement widths and driving lanes and planting abundant and reasonably spaced street trees. To advocate for these widely accepted changes without the support of city planners and engineers and staff who should be well-versed on these design strategies makes the work of creating a livable community impossible. Good street design is fundamental to livable neighborhoods. Without streets that support all users and invite residents to interact, Carlton will become just another endless subdivision. All the updated zoning, new setbacks, lot sizes, densities, and building design standards are meaningless if we can't make our streets a place where families want to walk and mingle. The goals and policies around transportation and livability in our new comprehensive plan are unachievable without solid street infrastructure. It just isn't true that we can't fix some of the street standards before the full TSP update in 18 to 36 months. We could right now make landscape strips mandatory on new local streets. And I'd like to pass this to our city attorney. It is just a matter of approving the removal of the word optional from the TSP and our draft code for the new local streets. We know that more subdivisions fill our urban growth boundary before the TSP update is complete. Most streets in those neighborhoods will be local streets. Despite the claim that there's insufficient right-of-way for a landscape strip, simple addition shows that 2 5-foot, not optional landscape strips fit within the other specified design elements within the 57-foot right-of-way as shown in the existing TSP and local street cross-section. There's no reason to forever condemn new neighborhoods to unshaded streets while we wait for a full TSP update when we could have this vital infrastructure paid for right now by developers. We know from experience the city won't pay for the extensive remediation to shade these streets after the developer has paved over potential landscape strips. Simply painting bike lanes on unmarked wide streets narrows the driving lanes to slow traffic by 5.77 kilometers per hour, according to university research on self-explanatory roads. Planning commissioners advise that low-cost solution is a first step to help mitigate traffic on South 7th Street an expensive 46-foot wide expanse of pavement that feels unsafe to the very people who live on it. As was our obligation, we informed and advised the city when residents complained. Since that time, residents there tell me, just last week, that there's been no meaningful effort by the city to fix their unlivable street, and they are too frustrated with the city to keep asking. Although reasonable tree spacing of 25 feet would effectively create a healthy tree canopy along our streets, council chose to simply substitute a random number that felt good to them. There was no critical thought applied to their decision. Worse, city staff, whose job it is to advise on best practice, chose not to inform them of the wealth of research that supports a continuous street canopy. Meanwhile, residents have been obligated to repay a $9 million loan for a police and city hall building while being told we can't afford $3,000 for a bike lane or approve a one-time simple TSP and code amendment to require landscape strips on new local streets. Given this unbridgeable disparity between my values and the city, I am pivoting my volunteer time to work with organizations that are improving our world for the next generation. I'm submitting my resignation from the Planning Commission this evening, effective tonight. I simply can no longer be part of a city government that supports regressive neighborhoods where the car is king and families feel unwelcome to safely and happily use and enjoy their neighborhood streets. I do thank my fellow commissioners. Their approach has been thoughtful and kind in the face of all the big challenges. I've learned many important lessons from each of you. You're hard workers and you're dedicated to the important work of making our little corner of the world a better place. Thank you. With that, if there's no other comments, I will look for a move to close the meeting. Seeing, oh, Jim?
Yeah. Hard for me to talk right now. Susie, you're an incredible person. And somebody to admire and follow. And I understand your frustration. My frustration is totally in line with yours. My plan was to do what you just did tonight for myself, but I find myself responsible for hanging in there on your behalf.
Thank you.
You are an amazing person, a wonderful example of what people should be trying to do. And I guess I'm going to hang in there for a little longer to see if I can somehow influence others to do what you wish we would all do. Thank you.
For you, Jim. Thank you. Annette?
Somehow I could sense that this was coming. For all the reasons that you said and everything that Jim just said. And I was trying to temper my opening remarks because that was not a one-off of feeling blown off, disrespected, dismissed by council members and others at the city. It makes our job difficult. It does nothing to increase open communication between the citizens of this town. And when people know that you're on the planning commission, believe you me, they come up to us with some regularity. I don't really understand the insulation of City Hall to the rest of the town. But like Jim, for now, I'm gonna stay and fight. I'm gonna exercise my conscience. And it has been gratifying at times, but largely frustrating. So I just want to say that I believe in you, Susie. I really, really, really appreciate all of your hard work. It's been so far over and above what any of the rest of us have put forward, and I don't think any of us are slackers. You will be greatly missed, but I know that you will put your imprint in other worthy causes. And all of those things will bear fruit. And I hope that council members take a good hard look at themselves and their priorities and what their legal obligations are and what their options are. And I'm just gonna put forth some comments that people have made to me in the intervening couple of years. There is and remains a great gulf, a lack of leadership, some pretty high-handed moves that, for one, you mentioned the city hall. As we all know, as residents, it was roundly defeated by ballot measure in a more than 2-to-1 vote by the residents of Carlton, not to opt for a bond for this building. And oddly enough, on a weekend, the existing building got demolished. And the answer was, well, we're going to move to these mods in the lower park, and I guess we need to build a new building now. The frustration of the people in this town runs deep. And I just want council to examine their hearts and their consciences and be thinking and thoughtful about the course of their actions. And I'm sorry that it came at the expense of a wonderful planning commissioner, a natural leader, an eloquent, intelligent woman who gave so much and was so very little appreciated. That's
Here,
my-
here.
Thanks, Annette. With that, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All who are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for a wonderful moment. I will appreciate you all, and I'll be listening online. Keep up the good work.
I'm sorry, we'll miss you.
Thank you.